homeboys went to college. A few of my niggas moved to work. A few of my niggas be robbing. Got a couple OGs in the pen. Most of my niggas be wild.
Yo, welcome to The Corner, another episode of Abstract Life's The Corner. This is the show where we talk about rap all day, every day. So with me today is...
Hello, I'm Brad Rickert, hip-hop enthusiast.
That's right, and today we're doing an album review of The Life of Pablo, a.k.a. Waves, a.k.a.
Swish.
a.k.a. So Help Me God, a.k.a.
Probably good-ass job at one point.
Probably, yes.
In theory.
So we're here to talk about the album. We're going to break it down. And so overall, what'd you think about the album? You know, we waited about, the last album was June 2013?
Is that right?
Something like
that?
Yeah, so it's been a while since Kanye has dropped a full album. He teased us last year with Only One, which I thought was really good. I really enjoyed that single. Then he came out with, what's the next one?
All Day.
All Day, which at first I liked it a lot, but then it just, I don't know, it didn't last.
Yeah, All Day doesn't really hold up, I don't think. I think it was like him trying to stay current and try to like make stuff that was similar to what was on the radio, and it just didn't work because it didn't feel very Kanye, you know?
Yeah, and then you heard little snippets of stuff, like, I think it was a song on the end of like a video he did with Steve McQueen, which I really didn't appreciate, and then it was he did a SNL of Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he might have been amping up to drop an album at that point, close, and then I feel like he scrapped whatever his idea was.
Right.
So I think he was aiming for like
because that was a year ago at this point.
Yeah, a June release, because he dropped Wolves. He had Only One, 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, 4 or 5 seconds. That's right.
Yeah. And then nothing came of it.
Right.
And then we had to wait some more, and then I remember he did some interviews where he said, "All right, I'm back in the lab, I'm focused, bars, this and that." And so now we have what honestly it feels like a 2-week session in the studio.
I think that's what it was. I think that's exactly what it was.
The songs are extremely short. They're all 2.5, 3 minute songs. It just feels like he was in the studio, locked himself in the studio for like 3 weeks, and just came up with some really good instrumentals. I'm curious to match up. First of all, I love this album. I thought it was amazing. But I'm really interested to see everyone who was talking about the album before, like, you know, the Thelonious Londons and the Seth Rogans and all those people in the world.
Like, is this the shit they heard?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee it wasn't.
I know.
Like, what are those albums like?
I am so curious to hear what Seth Rogen has to say about this album versus what he heard in the back of the room.
That wasn't any of it.
But anyways, back to this album. I thought it was really good. You know, the Ultralight Beams comes on, and it just, like, when you read the tweet that he wrote a couple weeks ago, which said, this is a gospel album with a lot of cursing, and you're just like, what? Like,
so what did he do? He enlisted Kirk Franklin.
Yes, in the best way possible. Kelly Price is on here. Chance the Rapper gives a phenomenal verse, which he's been known to do. Drop a good verse on a person's project, and man, Ultralight Beams I thought it was a really good song.
I think it's really interesting because I think this is like one of the first. He's done it with other songs before, but I think this is the first opening to a Kanye West joint where he really shared the ball. You know what I mean? Like, he's very minimal on that first track. And you have all these other people that are really featuring. I mean, if this sounded more like an intro to a Chance album, you know, just because, well, Chance doesn't make albums, but if Chance made an album, I feel like this would be the intro to a Chance album because he's the guy that's really featured on that. And I thought that was a really nice nod to Chicago. This is a very Chicago album. That was a nice way to start it with the hot young Chicago kid. And it was just like, it was really cool to see him share the spotlight that way. And
is there any particular songs that you just really want to talk about? I mean, I think the number one song that I think comes to a lot of people's mind is FML.
FML was one of my favorite songs for sure. Yeah, that's the 11th track. I think it's really, I feel like this album is kind of 2 albums, kind of separated by
I Love Kanye.
I Love Kanye. Yeah, it's the palate cleanser. And FML is like really the song that kind of kicks that next album into gear, I would say.
I think the song before that, Waves, I think that one, man, I know he said he was tweeting about it. It's weird because like he was giving you like production notes about what was going on with the album as it was like supposed to be out like 3 days before.
And we don't even know if this is the finished album.
That's what's crazy about it. We don't really even know that because he said he wants to still work on stuff.
Right. I guess Wolves is going to be different once it's out on every like iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. And who knows? He might get rid of a couple tracks and he might add a couple tracks. He might switch up the order. He could really do anything.
Well, they have Chance yesterday was playing a snippet of his version of Waves.
Yeah.
So I would, because I'm not a big fan of Chris Brown's vocals, just period, for too long. And hearing him on that, like the instrumental on it is okay, but it just kind of feels out of place a little bit.
Waves is a pretty forgettable song for me on this
Yeah.
joint. But yeah, FML I think is like super interesting because number one, it's raw, and I don't mean in a production way. I just mean like content wise, it's super raw and gritty. The production's amazing, and it's like it goes hard and chills at the same time, which I would say is true for most of the album.
Yeah, it's a really easy ride to just kind of smooth. Like a lot of the songs blend together, so you might not even know a track has changed,
Right.
other than like maybe hearing another sample. Like
It's very 808s in that way.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have the one thing I think is hilarious. Well, I don't know if, how it's gonna last long term, but the I Love Kanye skit.
Oh,
It's
on
very,
SNL?
it's very, no.
You're gonna call that a skit on this album?
I would call it a skit.
I would not call it a
You
skit.
call it a song?
I would call it a song.
Man, I call it a skit. But I call it a skit because of the laugh at the end.
Well,
Which I think it was a little. I think it would have had a better impact if he didn't have the laugh.
yeah.
Because then it seems. Because when you don't have the laugh, it feels like, okay, you're making fun of yourself. But when you laugh, it almost feels like I'm making fun of myself, but not at my own expense.
Right. Well, I don't know. I understand your point. I disagree. I think the laugh's funny. I think the thing about Kanye is like everyone thinks he's such a douchebag or an asshole, but really he's got one of the best senses of humor in hip hop, like history ever. Like his on every single album minus 808s, he's got some really funny stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I mean this is like him showing off his comedy persona, if you will, in this moment, but it's also bars in a sense. It's real easy. I like to call this the palate cleanser of the album. Every album has it, but he just kind of named it what it was by just like taking away all the musical backing to it.
What do you think about some of the controversial lyrics on it? To me, it's just the overindulgence in about sex tapes. And
Yeah.
it really I couldn't connect with it. I couldn't mess with it.
I those are some of my favorite things. As like a performer that loves shock value, that was just right up my alley. And there's so many on that album. Like, I mean, we're not even talking about the main controversial lyric, which was about Taylor Swift. I feel like
I thought it was funny.
I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why I made that bitch famous? Yeah.
But that line right there in that song it's so crazy because like is it the first verse? Is it the first line he says?
Yeah.
Yes,
it is,
that's
yeah.
so crazy. Like I remember I was sitting in the theaters when they played it, and I just hear, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Oh my goodness! You're just like,
Did people lose their shit in the theater?
Yes. You're sitting there, and you're just like, no, he didn't just say that. No, he didn't. Like he knew, and he was writing it, or when he was performing it in the studio, he probably was like, oh man, I'm finna kill him with this one.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine the production on this? Mike Dean has. This dude is a genius. Like I don't know who all works with him, or I don't know if Kanye could just pull the best stuff out of him. But this dude is fantastic. Whenever he's worked with Kanye, he's produced
playing
magic.
his keys since the beginning. So like one thing I think is really interesting about this album, right, is how, I mean, obviously there's a lot of controversy involved in any Kanye album, but this one specifically feels like the reaction is getting bigger and bigger. I think what's interesting is that he is giving you an unfiltered view of his life. It just feels gritty and dirty.
It's just crazy to the people who do have a lot of problems with this album. I mean, I'm not saying that it's flawless. Like I said, I don't really appreciate Waves. There's some certain lines that are just like, I could have did without. But the people that are really who are criticizing the album are like, what they're attacking are things that have always been essential to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, with the misogyny or whatever. Been saying that for years.
Right.
Misogyny, bad bitch, massaging me. You know what I mean? Like he's been talking about these things for years.
Right.
He's just saying it a little differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he's more freer in saying it.
Yeah, I don't feel.
He's not hiding it.
Yeah, I don't think for a second that he's worried about what people think about a certain choice he makes. I think that he cares about what people think of him in general. But when it comes to like, oh, I'm gonna write this line, and then he says, oh, I don't think he ever asks, what are people going to think about this line?
Yeah.
I think he's just
He's having fun. This
He's
album,
having so much fun.
He's having
Yeah.
fun. Wolves. I love Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves is so awesome.
I mean, I had very low expectations for that song. Wasn't expecting
I
it to
didn't
be on
either.
the album.
I wasn't either, but like the eeriness of it, just the background of that opera singer.
Yeah. I mean, we could speculate probably that this is the first song he made that made it to this album, probably,
yeah,
right?
Probably so.
Because this was on SNL a year ago, and he had been talking about it for a long time. So
You know, when I heard Real Friends and I heard No More Parties in LA, I was pretty much sure that only one was gonna be on this album.
yeah,
But I think maybe it was just so far away
yeah,
that it's just like, we don't need it.
yeah. I think kind of when you get to that point in the album, it almost feels like bonus tracks.
Yeah.
I feel like
Fade is an interesting.
I almost feel like Wolves might be the last actual track on the album. It's the 13th track, and then everything else from there feels like a bonus
join it?
track.
Mhm.
Yeah, which I'm cool with. I mean, like, again, the concept of this album feels like, hey, this is just me throwing all this shit out there.
Yeah.
This is all the things I can do, and it's scattered, and like you said, all the songs are short. And not only are they short, they're like 2.5 minutes long, but each song feels like 3 or 4 songs. No More Parties in LA is maybe one of the like most old school joints on here, like the
Pete Rock
old
production,
Kanye.
yep.
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty straightforward. It's just Kanye and
30 hours.
Kendrick.
30
Yeah,
hours
I was gonna
is
say that. Yeah.
30 hours is a really good song on there. It's probably the most lyrical song, but it feels like mixtape Kanye West. It doesn't feel like College Dropout. It feels like it predates it, like with the beat, and the instrumental.
Yeah, it's pretty stripped
really
down.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
New Facts is way better than
it's
First Facts.
way better.
I'll give you that.
He changes it a little bit too, like the
You
the
mean
way he
lyrically?
changes- yeah, lyrically.
Yeah, there's
at
a
the
few
beginning,
changes in there. Yeah.
and it's just I don't know who this Charlie Heat dude is, but he did wonders. Like he made it
Oh my
from being
God, yeah.
he made it from being a song like, oh man, Kanye West is trying to sound like everybody else, to Kanye West is shitting on everybody else.
Right.
You know, so it's like I can do what y'all do. Let me show you.
Yeah. I loved Facts. That was one of my favorite.
It's cool. It's
tracks
fun to
on
see him like play in other people's playgrounds.
That's kind of what it felt like in this whole thing. He tried to enter every realm of hip hop. It felt like because
Even 90s dance music and with
that's
Fade.
right, yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's true. With Fade, you're right. It was kind of like a old '90s dance track. What I loved was he got some people. It's funny because I guess Drake worked on the album a little bit. He doesn't have a feature.
He has
but-
some lyrical credits.
Right, which I find interesting because, like, who are like the 3 hottest guys in hip hop right now?
Mm-hmm.
Drake, Kendrick, and
Future.
I would say Future, yeah. And he made sure that he worked with all 3 of those guys. What Kanye is great at is looking at someone and realizing their full potential and figuring out how to use them in that way. And he does that time and time again. He's done that for years. He got Rick Ross in the middle of Rick Ross mania when all he's doing is rapping about stupid shit. He gets him to come on and do Devil in a New Dress.
And he spits like the like,
And it
that
sounds like he's a
changed him.
fucking prophet, you know? And that's what Kanye does for these guys. He like really draws the best, rawest, realest
And that was
reaction out
right
of them.
before he blew up. Right before Rick Ross became the boss, the Don.
Right.
Overall, like I said, the album I think is amazing. I thought it's really good. It's been on repeat since I've heard it.
How many times have you listened to it now?
I don't even know.
I think I've listened to it about 20 times.
It's
Yeah.
easy to fly through it. That's only
Yeah.
20 hours. I mean, it's easy to fly through it because it just feels like you start off with ultralight beams and then all of a sudden you look up and you know you're at FML and you're like, where's the time going in this? You know what I mean? So we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna close it out with that. This has been The Corner. Abstract Life presents The Corner. I'd like to thank Brad Rickert for coming on and reviewing this album with me. It's a pleasure as always, brother. So we'll be hoping to see you back on the show. Hopefully, if
Fresh as hell from head to toe, all the designer nigga. Was in the streets before I rap, need I remind you nigga. I heard niggas looking for me, I ain't had nigga. How you can't find me when my face on all these flyers nigga. Fresh as hell from head to toe, all the